Today, I wanted to talk about two of the most common ways that I see people completely sabotage their relationships. And the first one is isolating. And there's many other ways to describe this as well. Okay, so this is isolating, it's shutting down, it's running away, it's not saying anything, the silent treatment, hiding, ghosting, disappearing for days or weeks, months, even years without actually saying anything and just kind of falling off the face of the earth. We've all done this to a certain degree in some way, shape, or form. And here's the thing, the reason why this is so detrimental is because these actions that we take on only perpetuate more shame. So this is like a trauma response, but then it's also like a shame response, right? So we do this because ultimately at the end of the day, there's something that we maybe feel ashamed about, or maybe we feel embarrassed about, or maybe it's something that we don't want to face. And so what we do then is we go into hiding, but what it does is then it just perpetuates more internalized shame. And then it gets harder and harder to emerge, which then only leaves you feeling more shittier about yourself. How many times have you isolated, shut down, didn't say what you wanted, and then you feel bad, and then you're like down that rabbit hole, and then you feel like, fuck, it's been a week, fuck, it's been a month, and then you feel worse, and then you feel scared, and then you feel embarrassed, then you feel like they're not going to accept you if you come back anyways, and you just fucked yourself, right? So this is why it's so detrimental, because what it's actually doing is it's actually just putting you more into a shame hole, which ultimately then makes you just feel more like shit about yourself, which then becomes a pattern, and then it affects all of your other relationships as well, because this is something that you tend to do in every way, shape, or form, whether it's at the workplace, with your relationships, family members, friends, and so forth. Yo, if you know that you do that, check yourself before you wreck yourself. I'll get into 5 steps how you can take care of that here in a minute, okay? But let me go into talking about number 2. The second way that I see people sabotage their relationships all the time is people pleasing. Now, I know this sounds so obvious, right? We talk about this all the time, like, oh, I'm such a people pleaser. Oh, she's such a people pleaser. And it almost seems like it's just normal. It's just what people do, like, you know, whatever, fuck it. But this is like a serious problem, right? We all do this. And it's actually like, while it's normal, it's not normal, right? We shouldn't be doing this. And here's why. Let me break it down. When we people please, we are setting ourselves up for failure right out the gate, because we are literally teaching people what to expect from us. So when you are constantly people pleasing and you're doing things even though you don't really want to, you know, it's not something that you really want to do, but then you don't want to make them feel bad, or maybe you don't want them to reject you. So you kind of do things even though you're tired, even though you don't really want to go. We do all these things, and then all you're doing is you're just setting yourself up for failure, because you are teaching other people what to expect. You're basically teaching them, you're training them, hey, this is what you can expect from me, this is how I'm going to roll. And then on top of that, it just isn't real. You're fucking lying, right? It isn't real, it isn't authentic, it isn't genuine. How are you really living your best life? How are you really being in integrity? How are you really being the best version of yourself when you're people pleasing? See, people pleasing is so disingenuous, right? It's actually not honest at all. And so to me, people pleasing is not the best version of yourself, because it actually comes from a place of fear. It comes from a place of dishonesty. It comes from a lack of integrity. Oof, that's heavy, right? And ultimately, let's take it another step deeper. Ultimately, we people please because we don't want to be rejected. Ultimately, you are people pleasing because you just don't want to be rejected. We all have a fear of rejection. We all have a fear of not being liked. We all have a fear of not being loved or being alone, and so forth. And so that's why we end up people pleasing. But then in the process, here's where it's again so detrimental. In the process, you are abandoning and rejecting yourself. Then it ripples and it gets worse and worse and worse, because this is so dangerous, because then you are diminishing your ability to put yourself first. You're diminishing your ability to put yourself first and to listen to your own needs, which diminishes your self-love, which leads to a lack of self-trust. And ultimately, it diminishes your self-worth. I know it sounds so serious. This is what people pleasing does to us, right? And that's why so many of my clients, after doing this for so many years and decades, they come to me depleted, drained, and just feeling stuck. People pleasing just fucks us up at the end of the day because we have to keep up this persona and this behavior to maintain a relationship. And then we get stuck in feeling like we have to keep these relationships that are built on just lies, this basis of people pleasing. It isn't sustainable. And this is where you end up sabotaging the relationship because it's going to ultimately fall apart, whether you like it or not, because it isn't sustainable. People pleasing is just not sustainable. It's just a lose-lose situation. Now, these are definitely two extreme ends of the spectrum, yet we oscillate between the two all the time and don't even realize it until it's too late. And this is why doing the inner work, working on yourself and actively working to build self-awareness and self-mastery is the key to healthy, lasting, and fulfilling relationships. All right, so I'm going to talk about the 5 steps that you can do now to kind of like reverse this or to, stop this behavior in general. Okay. And I'm basically going to take you through my 5 pillars and how it fits in within my 5 pillars. The first thing that we do is I teach you how to take care of yourself at the most basic level. And the reason for this is because we don't even realize as full grown adults that are like making money and buying houses and raising children and shit, we don't even realize how much we let go of the most basic self-care items and the most basic needs. And so of course, if you're not even taking yourself at the most basic level, you're going to lose touch with yourself and you're going to constantly put your focus elsewhere on work, on your friends, on your family, on your obligations and your responsibilities, right? Because you're not pulling that focus to yourself. So first we have to relearn how to take care of ourselves at the most basic level. That's step 1. Step 2 is identifying the programming that has led you to these patterns in the first place. We all isolate, we all people please, but we all have different reasons. We all have different histories and childhood baggages and different traumas and experiences that have shaped how we ended up doing that in the first place, right? So I may isolate and hide because of, a way that I was conditioned or programmed in the household. I may end up people pleasing because of like a certain kind of relationship that I have with my dad, whereas maybe your people pleasing comes from you having a tiger mom, or maybe your people pleasing comes from you, being bullied as a child and just wanting to fit in, right? So there's so many different reasons. So 2, we have to identify the programming that led you to these behaviors in the first place. That's step 2. 3, then we get in touch with your inner compass, which is your true feelings. These are your true needs and what your true self is, right? Again, when we're constantly shutting down or people pleasing, we're going to these extremes, we're not getting in touch with our own self. So we're constantly just in survival mode, going from one extreme to another. So we got to get in touch with our true needs and our true self. That's step 3. 4, you got to be able to communicate that, right? So my 4th pillar inside the soul method is the communication pillar. So then you got to be able to communicate your true self, your true needs, your true feelings. And you got to do it without pissing people off. Right? You got to do it in a way that's compassionate. You got to do it in a way that's actually going to get you heard and that you are actually hearing other people as well. And this is why communication is a huge pillar inside of my programs and the work that we do. All right, 5th and final step is basically rinse and repeat until your life is full of these amazing, authentic, genuine, fulfilling relationships. This is the manifesting pillar, my 5th pillar. Okay. So when we continue to do this over and over again, now we start to manifest the community that we always wanted, the friendships that we wanted, the lovers that we wanted, the friendships, the relationships all around us in every way that we always wanted. And we do that by going through all of these other steps first. We can't just like wish, please, 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 hope that we're going to end up with these amazing relationships. There's actually work that needs to be done to get you there in the first place. All right. So I hope that was super helpful. If this is what you want in your life, if you want to stop this bullshit behavior of isolating, shutting down, extreme to people pleasing, and you want to actually start building, finding, creating, manifesting, fulfilling relationships that last, that are healthy, that are honest, that are genuine, that are built on integrity and real trust and love, in the most purest way, then holler at me. This is what I help my people do. This is, you see a lot of testimonials about my clients getting like big raises and this and that, but honestly, like that's just a side effect of all of this other work. You see, my clients get these big raises because they do this inner work. They learn how to communicate. They build better relationships. Next thing you know, they're more appreciated by their coworkers. They're appreciated by their bosses. Other people see how there's such genuine, honest, amazing, good folks. And it's through that people building, relationship building skills and all that, that everything else manifests around it. Remember, the people in your life are your life. And without that, everything else will crumble. You feel me? All right. So I just dropped a lot. Let me know what you heard me say. Let me know what your takeaways are. Comment below if you have any questions. Holler at me, shoot me a DM if you want to learn more about working with me. I can send you a free training on my pillars so that you could dig a little bit deeper and find out your own blind spots. There are so many ways to get connected with me. So make that first move. Don't hide, and holler at me anytime. All right, y'all. Catch you on the next one. Peace.